G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to the Round 16 review. Hope you had a rip of a round yourself. Now I want to start this off by giving a huge shout out to my man Dan Mashman, aka Frio Tragic. Now, as most of you know, I'm a school teacher, finally on holidays now, got a break for a couple of weeks, so really looking forward to that. And I was cleaning out the front today and noticed that there'd been a package sitting there for about a good week now. And I opened it up, had no idea what it was. It was a box from Amazon. Opened up and found this loudspeaker in there, and there was a note attached to it. Don't know if you can see it there. Now, there's a bit of light going through this, so I'm going to attempt to read this backwards through the paper, but a gift from Dan Mashman. Hey, DR, just a little gift to help save your voice. Hope you like it, mate, from, I can't do it anymore, from Frio Tragic from Daniel Mashman. So, mate, thank you very, very much. It's extremely kind of you. I'm in the PE role now. I'm not yelling and abusing kids. Don't get me wrong, but you need to project your voice in such a large gym. So, mate, this will absolutely do me the world of good. You can tell I haven't actually got the batteries in it now. I've got a heap of double A's, mate, but it takes D's. And so didn't have any D's on hand, but we'll get some tomorrow and give it a good test out, mate. Maybe test on my own sons because they've been a little bit cheeky during the holidays, mate. But thank you very much, buddy. Really do appreciate that. And we'll have to get you on the Swordplay potty soon as well, mate, because you know that you are absolutely one of our favourites. But back to Supercoach. Now, you can see from the title here, I'm a little bit angry at myself. And I'm going to get to why that's the case in a sec. But look, overall, it was a 23-15. Left a few points at the door this week, but generally speaking, compared to lots of the other content creators, I'm obviously in the league with them, wasn't too bad. I think it was a little bit above par in that community anyway. And shout out to Dan Mashman. I think you took out the biggest score of the week, mate. You might check that out in the leagues a little bit later on the video. But overall, still in the top 1%, still in the top 1,000. Actually dropped down around, well, not around, exactly 20 spots this week. So 931. That goes to show I was basically right on par when it comes to blokes and ladies around my rank. So all in all, yeah, it's not great to see a red arrow, but it's not a disaster. In saying that, though, comparing my side to some other sides, things just aren't looking good. For example, in the family league this week, I lost to Lisa, lost to Max in our head-to-head, and also lost to my brother. Now, they all scored 2,400 plus, and this is concerning me. With the current team that I've got, have other teams started to catch up a little bit, and it's actually going to be harder for me to make some ground? I'm not too sure, but for now, I'm still in that top 1K. Dreams of a top 500 finish, I'm just not sure about at the moment. I just don't know if I've actually got the team to get me there. And now let's talk about why I am very dirty on myself this week. Now, every year we talk about lessons learned. And for some reason, I learn the same lesson each year, and I never seem to learn. And it's all about backing your gut. So I quickly want to go through the trades or my thought process with my trades this week. So originally, and if you look back at the Swordplay potty, these are my plans. So it was out Brucey Revel, out Nat Fife, and in was going to come Dry Caldwell, along with Mr. Tholstrup there. Now, that's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it, Mr. Tholstrup? So originally, my idea here was to keep on to Clary, get Caldwell in as that really safe option, and then I could loop someone, well, whoever it was going to be, with someone like a Clary, because I already had that DPP in the midfield to allow me to do that. So that was the original plan. Then I thought to myself, no, do you know what? Is it more important to actually get someone like a Clary off field and really improve my on-field situation and get one of the best in? And I thought, yep, that's probably the way to go. Now, I was on the phone with my man, John O'Carroll, a good St Kilda supporter, and this was the Friday night. And I was going through my thought process with him, and I said, you know what? My best buy of the week in the stock market was actually Jack Sinclair. So why don't I actually bring Sinclair into the side? Now, there was question marks around Elliot Yeo's availability this week, and I thought, well, at least with Sinclair, I can then get him straight into the back line, get Yeo into the midfield, have Brucey on the bench just in case he doesn't get through, for example, and everything's hunky-dory. No worries at all. And if I had have done things that way, I would have actually taken Brucey's score over Elliot Yeo and then just bought that loop on. Unfortunately, wasn't the case. And I loved everything about the Sinclair pick. The Marvel run, under the roof, upcoming opponents. Look back to his history last year, back to his last 8 at Marvel from 2023. He's back in that half-back position, in that role that we love with Jack Sinclair. We're not seeing CBAs anymore, which is actually a good thing with this pick. I'd absolutely talked myself into it. And as you can see there, my trades at 7:35, 5 minutes before the game, were out Fife and out Oliver and in Jack Sinclair and in Rawlinson. And Rawlinson being a pretty important loop with that mid DPP status and someone that actually plays a fair few of the late games. We talked about the Swordplay the pod or loop availability, sorry. And he was a man that you needed to get in if you wanted the best mid-forward loop. What happened though? I started to panic and I started to listen to all the group chat that was going around. And it was all about your Simpkin. It was all about how Rosie is going to be the best pick of the year. And for some reason, I absolutely panicked. I thought, do you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone else is right. Maybe these two are blokes that you just have to get in. You'll be regretting it in a week or two. Just bite the bullet and go along with what some other people are doing. And unfortunately, that allowed me to get Rosie and Simpkin into the side, and out went Oliver and Fife. Now, with Oliver and Fife, I think all the danger signs and warning signs were there, the break even, the recent form. So I'm not necessarily disappointed with myself for trading out those two blokes. Look, ideally, it would have been the first trade here, Caldwell and Tholstrup in, or Caldwell and probably Rawlinson in, even better for your Brucey and for your Fife. But it is what it is. But I'm just super disappointed. With these final trades, I actually lost out points. And I had the trap symbol on Simpkin just a couple of weeks ago on the stocky as well. So I have, the best buy Sinclair, the best and safest buy in your forward line being Caldwell. And I end up with a bloke that I had the trap symbol on a couple of weeks ago. I just didn't back my gut. And it's not just this time, though. It's been other times in the season where I haven't. And here's one more quick example. I'm just ranting at the moment, but here's another example here that really, really did cost me. And how did this cost me? I ended up getting Dale into the side, but this is the issue. I could have brought in Bailey Dale at 450 odd K. And that would have been an absolute bargain. We've seen 2 really good scores in a row. We thought he's absolutely back. But no, what do? I'll back out on these trades. So originally it was going to be your Williams, your Cadman, and then your Tom Powell in Bailey Dale, in Sarong, and in Jordan Sweet as well. I did get in Sweet and Sarong, didn't end up going through the Bailey Dale trade. So 457,000. It's just a real blow, And as you can see from the slide here, I passed on Dale and had to pay up 74.5K extra the week after. And it's just really unforgivable, that sort of mistake. And so, look, at the end of the day, it's annoying, but we all do make mistakes. But my gut was telling me to get in Dale, but there were too many people saying, no, I think he's going to be a trap. He gets subbed at any time. And I fell into that Bevo talk again, as I always do. And that really, really hurt me. As I said, got him in. He's been a good selection to date. But, that extra 74,000 in the bank would have done wonders for the side as well. And I probably would have had one less fake primo in the side. So quick little rant from me. Let's get into the side and see how we're actually looking. Now, the defense was a little bit disappointing this week. You can see Dacos was my captain. Zorko was the vice captain. So literally made 1 point there. With the captaincy, again, I didn't absolutely back my gut. I was speaking to H. I was on the phone all weekend. I was speaking to H again on the Friday night and said to myself, look, I'm going Zorko with the VC, but knowing Bond's under some injury cloud here, he's probably going to come out and go 150 plus. So I should actually chuck the captain on him. It's like every time he's got a virus, he's sick or whatever, he comes out and absolutely smashes it. So didn't go with my gut there. And so it was going to be, obviously, Zorko was a VC. And then the decision at the end of the day was out of Flanders and Dacos. I thought Flanders is a very safe option. won't go under 100, and he's also got that potential upside given the matchup against Collingwood, but decided to go with King Nick at the end of the day and made a point, would have lost a point with Flanders. So, yeah, not much to speak about there. But Sheasel, 103. Again, I'm not complaining with 100 plus from Shees. I think he's definitely one of the defenders that you want to have in your side, obviously along with Dacos, obviously along with Ryan as well. He's had a bit of a lean run. If you bought him in, say, 2, 3 weeks ago, you would be extremely disappointed. You would have lost, what, 80 plus K, I think, on the pick. But remember, he's priced at what he is still for a reason, and he's one of the elite defenders that we can select in the comp. The bright side or the upside may not be there, given the fact that there may be a slight shift in game style. Not too sure about that, but I still think he's going to be a good pick. So definitely one of the ones that we still want. Bailey Dale, only the 88 points. But again, I'm really happy with the Dale selection. Talked about earlier the fact that I could have got him 75K cheaper, but it is what it is. Still glad to have him in the side. I don't think he's one of those must-have picks, but I think most people wouldn't be complaining having him anyway. And then we get to Yohan Martin. Now, my heart absolutely goes out to Elliot Yeo. And look, who knows what was going through his mind, and just kudos to the man for actually getting up and displayed a lot of courage just for playing. But you could tell that his mind was elsewhere. And even when he gave a couple of free kicks away, he just looked such a dejected man. And I really, really felt sorry for him. My heart went out to him. He was just sort of jogging up the middle for large periods of the game and just wasn't his usual self. There was no hunt. There was no, fight for the ball. And I thought it could have gone one way or another, either the way that it actually did or he'd smashed it out of the park. But yeah, I hope he's all well. And yeah, much love and best wishes goes out to his family. Wasn't expecting too much from Elliot Yeo, so can't be too disappointed with the 64. But Nick Martin, 75. I'll tell you what, going back to some of these decisions that I've made, I traded out Nick Martin and then traded out Brody Grundy to get Nick Martin back in. Ended up trading Grundy in again, but that Grundy to Martin trade, it was so bad. And this is what we call a fake premium. He's being moved all around the ground, and I just don't know what to do with him at the moment. I'm actually thinking that it may be worth actually looping like I did this week. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is that Sexton I had to have down back this week just in case Yo was laid out. So he was my insurance policy. And if Yo hadn't have played, then I would have made an extra, 22 points there. But again, it is what it is. But do I just leave Sexton down there and look to loop with Nick Martin? Maybe that's the best choice. Play Dogger. I'm really not too sure. Dogger, Nick Martin, this is the issue here. There are a few fake premiums. But Sexton, that was okay with an 86. But particularly if you've got him on field, you do want a lot more than that. And I'll talk about a few players that I don't own in a sec. Zach Reed will just continue to be a loop. Bomb, as we mentioned, just came out and went absolutely bananas. A 157. This bloke is the best player in the comp. I don't care what anyone else says. He is the best player in the comp, and I really, really hope he wins a Brownlow. Lockie in with a 114. Again, this is okay. Bit of a slow start from Lockie, but big last quarter, got us over the line. And tell you what, that was an interesting game to watch. I haven't even mentioned anything about the Lions-Melbourne game, but gave me heart attacks during that game. Zeret, what a disappointing second half. Now, was really on track to be giving us a decent score this week, but absolutely went missing by every definition of the word in the second half. And I think he might have scored under 10 points or something like that. So just not the week for Zeret. But again, I'm not complaining too much with this pick. I'll give him a mulligan because he just doesn't seem to go under the ton. I think maybe twice this year from memory. Caleb Sarong. Now, again, someone that had a massive first half and then just faded out. I wasn't actually watching the game. And I tell you what, who is scheduling these things? So I reckon I had about 10 players, about half my starting side, playing at the same time at 1:45. And so that was what the Dogs, North, Sydney, and then Fremantle. So I don't know what's going on with the fixture there, but just disgraceful in my opinion anyway, being very selfish about my Supercoach side. So I watched about the first half of this and then, of one of the games. It was the Dogs North game, and then sort of tuned out after that because I had to do some things. So yeah, very disappointing there. Second half in particular from Sarong, and disappointing I didn't get to watch basically any of the match. Butters with 114. Didn't watch this, but again, I'll take that. That's all good. Walsh, I did watch this match. Now, this guy was absolutely on from the start. A couple of goals. His efficiency was a lot better than what it's been previously anyway. And when I look back at the pick, I was really disappointed myself for not going Jordan Dawson, or as I really wanted to at the same time. But he has really hit back actually, and only gone under the ton a couple of times for me. And he's gone 110 plus in 3 of the last 4 weeks, and I'll finally get a ceiling game from him. Really nice opponent, obviously coming up against the Tigers, and who knows this week coming up against the Giants, whether or not he may potentially get the Bedford tag. If that's the case, I'm not wrapped about that, but maybe they play him on the wing and he just outruns him and outworks him. I'm not too sure. But yeah, very, very happy to own Sam Walsh this week. Green seems to be back. So almost, was it 40 touches, close to 40 touches, something like that. Made the SEN team of the week. Unfortunately, my man Josh Dunkley didn't. A little bit controversial there, made my thoughts known. But yeah, is he back? We've seen it for 2 weeks, him really hit form. If I see it for a 3rd week this week, coming up against the Blues, then I may be more of a believer again that he's back. Now, Rosie for Oliver, I basically didn't make anything here on the Supercoach scoreboard, maybe a point, I think, but Oliver did go down. He's rising up, and I think his break even's around a 35 this week. So I'm hoping that this will work out okay for me. Allow me to have some more on-field points than Oliver, but seeing Rosie there and not a Jack Sinclair, it really, really does hurt. But again, it is what it is. Hopefully this will be an okay decision at the end of the day, but much rather be looping someone like a Rosie rather than having him at that end position. Dowling with a 57, all good. Saw him kick a goal and some highlights, which was nice. Brown with a 15. Look, he's either got to play a full game of AFL this week or send him back to the resis. I'm hoping he actually gets dropped so I can do a little bit of looping. If he's the sub again, it's painful. It's just painful. So I'm hoping he's actually dropped. Saad, this wasn't a good trade in. I'll explain why a little bit later. Gorn very much down with the 79. I know lots of people actually went him as a VC. I was just never really keen on Gorn because Big O's been in good form, been a bit of a negating ruckman lately, although Gorn has pretty nice history on him. I just, wasn't really keen to see him this week. And a sub 80, it hurts, but pretty much all the 1%'s got him anyway, so all good. And this hurts as well. So Brodie Grundy, when you had English stinking up with the 70, you thought he's a real opportunity to get ahead of the pack, but unfortunately, just an 82 from the great man. I think that he did bounce back a little bit late, but really, we want a lot more from Brodie, and hopefully he's not cursed again, but he has been great upon returning my side, so I'll give him a week off with this. All good. I don't know if he was a little bit sore, possibly. Flanders, just the safest option in Supercoach, and what a man he is, what a gun he is, just so reliable each week. If you want to just lock in a really safe, say 110 to 120 range captain, if you're a league player in particular, then just go for that man. I think he's just so reliable. Love Sam Flanders. Heaney been a little bit up and down, so definitely not the pick we were getting at the start of the year, but again, he's one of those must-have forwards, as is Zorko, 115. That's all good. Fisher, now, I still don't know exactly what's going on here. I think it was a little bit of an ankle issue, but he could have potentially came back on. It was just decided to sub him out. Other people said it was purely tactical, so I've heard it's cramp. I'm really, really not sure what's going on with Fisher, so I'll find out exactly what the case was there. But 83, that was good at the time of sub. So, yeah, really ripped off. Would have gone 100 plus, you'd thought anyway. Jai Simpkin, now, this bloke looked phenomenal in the first quarter. I think he was on mid-30s. He ended up with a 68. So as I said, I wasn't able to watch the rest of the game basically after the first quarter and a bit. So I can't tell you what happened here. But it's just so disappointing because, as I said, I had him as a trap, and it was the Wardlaw news that swung me a little bit as well. But again, it's only a 2-week thing. And look, I don't even really want to talk about Jai Simpkin. Hopefully he can bounce back this week. He's got the Suns. He's playing under the roof at Marvel. So, look, fingers crossed it just works out for me. I did decide to bench Jacko this week. So, Dog was on the bench for his 72. Decided to go Simpkin over him. So, I did lose 4 points. Look, 4 points probably gives me an extra 10, 20 spots in the ranks, to be honest. But not too much of a difference there because I did end up taking Brucey's 95. Now, this was not expected whatsoever. I thought, look, I'll just chuck the emergency on him because, him or Dowling, and there was other loops that I couldn't use at the time as well. So, yeah, with a 95, I thought, well, the way Dogger's been playing lately, I'm just going to bank that 95. I think it's a lot safer. So it was either Dogger or Simpkin, and I thought, well, recent form, you've probably got to go Simpkin. Wardler out of the side. So Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there that I lost the 4 points, but yeah, this is a big concern here. When other teams have, your Rankin, even your Dylan Moyes got a really big ceiling, your Caldwells. Look, I know Curnow was terrible on the weekend, but you'd probably prefer Curnow here as well. So that's where I'm going to go down a little bit, I think. Even though I've got Sexton to also loop here, I think that's where I'm going to struggle. So ideally, look, you've got the loop here with Sexton and Martin, or else you get Sexton up here. Now, I'm assuming that, well, who knows what's going to happen with Brown. And then you basically just take what Martin gets, just to be safe. You do that because he's playing the first game. Melbourne, so Fisher, Simpkin. So you're probably doing that. So this is assuming that Brown doesn't play. Brucey's that backup. Playing Adelaide. All right, so this is probably without trades, and I may potentially make a couple of trades. I'm not too sure. I'll go through that soon, but without trades, this is probably how I'll look to line up this week. So you're looping Martin here. You've got Dawson there. If Martin doesn't work out, don't know what the score I'll take or won't take will be at this stage, but just to say Martin doesn't work out, then Sexton comes back and we'll roll the dice on Alex. And that means we'll basically have to take Simpkins' score, whatever he gets. So that's probably the move I look to make there. Or else, oh, geez, will they play each other? So that's a little bit tough. So that's probably the loop that I'll actually run with this week. Yeah, I'll probably just get Martin on the bench there. So the 6 here, the ideal 6 really, or the best 6 I can get at the moment on the park is Dacos, Sheasel, Ryan, Dale, Yo, and Nick Martin. So you're happy? Well, Elliot, yeah, I think it was just an off week. Remember the week before he banged out a 130 plus for us. So I still really, really like Yo as a pick. Martin's probably the major concern there. What you would give for a Jack Sinclair. Yeah, look, I know Houston was disappointing this week as well. But yeah, this Martin selection, I'd much rather a Houston, for example, obviously a Sinclair. Look, I'm actually okay here. Walsh, I'm really starting to warm to now. Green's showing that he's coming back to form. Rosie's probably the one that you'd love to have as an LDU, an Errol type maybe, although Errol did struggle early, big last quarter. But all in all, yeah, it's okay-ish. Gordon Grundy, obviously very happy with. And then you got Flanders, Heaney, Zorko. Fisher starting to get a few question marks. What's going to happen when McCurch returns? Not too sure. Then the next 3 are pretty dodgy or dicey. You've got Jackson, Sexton, and then Simpkin. So I know I can loop there, which is really nice. But, we're not talking Rankin, Caldwell types you'd really, really like. They're even a more, as I mentioned before, with a really, really nice ceiling. So this is my downfall. 1, 2, 3 here, although added loop bonus may swing it a little bit more in my favor, and the Martin and possibly Rosie. So if I do trade this week, and geez, I'm tempted to, if I hadn't have stuffed around with, boosting when I shouldn't have, the Martin out, Martin in, the Grundy out, Grundy in, Fisher out, Fisher in, stuffed around like that, I've only got myself to blame. I would have had at least an extra couple of trades up my sleeve here. Even back to that Dale decision, which I've referenced a couple of times already in this video. So this is where I'm hurting. And going down to 2 trades from here, I just don't know if I'm comfortable enough. Now, the cover you could say is decent enough, but obviously I'll have to lose some extra cover if I do decide to trade. So if I do trade, what am I actually going to do? Now, as I mentioned, the weak links here are probably Nick Martin, and you'd love to do something maybe with the Sexton. Dogger, I just want to keep his insurance. I think that's a smart play, particularly with 2 trades. I need covering the ruck. So Dogger's got to stay. Fisher I'm keeping. That will still allow me to swing down back. So it's either your Sexton or your Simpkin who have bloody just got in. So probably your Sexton here. Brucey's got more money to make with that 20, but it's probably going to be him as well, because I'd rather a Sexton over a Bruce. I think he'll probably be more reliable at the end of the day, or maybe not. I'm not too sure. So the 2 blokes to go would either be Sexton and Brucey, or Nick Martin and Brucey. So Martin, break even of 100. Sexton, lower break even. Martin's probably got that better job. Well, definitely got the better job security. So let's just say that we do get Sexton out. We can't do much with 449. So if we just sort by highest price, who can we afford? So we can afford... So Kerno's 452. So he's like $3,000 out of reach. You've got Guelphy, Smith, Neil Bullen, Jeremy Cameron. You'd probably just have a Sexton, wouldn't you? Your Baker, your Reed, Joyce Simpkin, Elijah Hollins, Brian Meisner. A few people went for your Combin. Probably not Bolton, no. Look, there's really your Pickett. Do you have faith in? You only kick 5 every week. Yeah, I'm not even going to look at other options. So there's not much that I can do just with a straight trade. So it would have to be your Brucey out. So if we trade Brucey out, obviously I'll get that loop in, which would be Rawlinson. And so that'll give me 653K. So if I was to go your midfield, we're going by highest price. That gives me a Sinclair at 623. Then that will allow me to potentially loop your Martin and your Rosé, your Martin Sexton. So that's certainly an option for me. You know, getting Sinclair on field. But again, we're paying up an extra 40K as compared to what we were going to last week. I know Rosé did go up in price, though, which was handy. Simpkin went up as well. So all in all, maybe balances out. We are really paying up, though. If we decide to go a different way about this, we'll just go straight to the forwards this way through. Get Rawlinson there. Now, we've got Flanders, Heaney, Zorko. So this is probably the bloke, isn't it, that you go. You get Rankin in there, and that's 75,200. You're still able to loop Martin with, say, a Fisher. You're able to loop your, maybe, your Dogger with your Simpkin still. And you've got a guaranteed loop here, rather than Brown, who may be the sub. Cover. So we'll have 2 players covering, 2 trades left. Arguably close to the best forward line you can have. Simpkin would ideally be another man that I could actually trade in instead. Being Jai Caldwell. Again, late on it. Should have been on him last week. Well, I was on him last week. Should have gone through with it. Or Sinclair. But this gives me 150 rounded up K in the bank. And I'm getting a bloke, unlike Rankin, that can actually go into your midfield here. A very, very safe pick. Still value there, I think, at the price. Underrated, pottish. That's a real option for me too. Again, it comes down to most likely looping these two, Jackson and Simpson. Simpkin. So there are 3 options. It's most likely going to involve these two. If I was to actually go down the Sinclair line, let's just complete that. Look, I don't love the bank there, 29,600. But all of a sudden, with that, Nick Martin's looping. With someone here. Or your Yo could be looping. You probably got more faith in Yo though. So am I a little bit too vulnerable here though? Potentially, aren't I? Because I'm really down here. In saying that, I think that here I've got a real advantage by getting Sinclair in over really any other defender apart from these guys here. Lots of people have got a Houston there. I know some have got a Jordan Clark, so I've got a big advantage there because I know he's a real pod. And McGovern is another nice player to have. I'll have that DPP premium swing now. Premium Nick Martin. The only issue is my cover up forward is Billy Dowling and Billy Dowling only. So if there's a bit of carnage up here, then I'm in some slight trouble if I go Sinclair. If I went Caldwell, that may actually be of more of an advantage to me. So if we get Martin back there, and this could be Rankin, but let's just say, is it Y-E or H? There we go. Caldwell. So how does that change things up? All right, so we can still potentially loop our Nick Martin down back if we need to, because you've got Fisher that can go in there for Dawson. And then we're doing that. So it's like your Caldwell over, let's just say Jackson, or Rankin over Jackson, or Sinclair over Nick Martin. It's a tough one, isn't it? Probably Sinclair over Martin. But again, I'm vulnerable here. If something happens, it's just Dowling and Dowling only. Whereas if I go this way, I can still cover that defensive line with your Fisher. I can actually cover here if need be with Fisher going down. Yeah, look, and it gives me 150K in the bank. 2 trades though. But let's just say that Simpkin with that DPP can be that 23rd man. It looks a little bit better. You have to let me know, guys, what do you prefer here? Do you prefer the Sinclair option? Now, it'll have to pretty much be Bruce and Sexton out, unless you reckon I should get a Nick Martin out. But Bruce and Sexton out, do we get Sinclair Do we get Caldwell? Or do we get Rankin? Or do we just go all the way up and get an uber midfielder? That could also be an option. Probably not, though. I really like that DPP, particularly with Jack Sinclair. All right, so that were my quick trade. Well, not quick, was it? Sorry, this video's probably gone on and on and on now. All right, what I'll do is quickly talk about captains here. So if I do go through these trades, now, do you know what? I won't. So I'll just undo the changes, sorry. And then talk about what I'll do captain-wise with the current team that I've got. All right, so here we are. So I will do this loop here. And Brucey swap with Brown. All right, so you've got Collingwood Essendon. You know, does Eric go big with no tag? I know he had a poor, particularly last half last week, but does he bounce back? Zerrett or Dacos are both really tempting options. I reckon they're both the type of blokes that are going to step up this week. They're the first game, so you get potentially that stress out of the way nice and early. So certainly a couple of options there. You've then got your North and Gold Coast. So the only player, look, Sheasel probably doesn't have the upside for VC that I'm looking. And then you've got Flanders, again, probably doesn't have the upside there. So I'd probably skip that game. You've got the Dogs and Freo. So Bond, he has to be there, doesn't he? He's got to be there. Am I willing to skip one of Dacos or Merritt to straight VC him, though? We'll continue looking. So Hawthorn and Geelong doesn't do anything for me. You've got the Giants and Carlton. Yeah, well, these are captaincy options now, so you're not going to have enough faith going Walsh or Green for that. Freo and Richmond. The Schlong at Optus Stadium. Do you know what? I think that's a very, very tempting option. You've got your Luke Ryan there as well. Maybe a Ryan and Sarong. You could definitely go there. I'm probably liking Caleb Sarong against the Tigers midfield. Gawn, excuse me, against West Coast. He hasn't got the best history, does he, against West Coast, Maxi? Again, we expect him to bounce back, though. Maybe not Maxi for me this week. The Saints against the Swans. Rowan v. Grundy. Where's it being played? Marvel. Probably not Grundy then. Heaney, maybe Windhager. Don't know. Probably not. And then you got the Lions and the Crows. So do I go my man Lockie? Zorks. We're at the Gabba. Oh, I just don't know. I probably haven't got enough faith there. So, look, it's either going to be Dacos or Zerrett into Bont or Bont into the Schlong. I think what I will do is I'll go Bont into the Schlong for now. Bont's probably the VC that I really want. I know he's away at Adelaide Oval. Will Drew look to tag him? Potentially, but will that really matter? With the form that he's in, even when injured, I think he's hard to go past. So Bont's probably going to be my VC into the Schlong. If Brown doesn't play, and as I said, I'm really, really hoping that he doesn't, then the plan will be if Martin scores well, or let's just say I'll go 95 plus, I'll probably take that. Then Sexton will come up, and then I'll actually loop him or Sinkin, depending on who I go, probably Sexton, I'd say. And Brown can be that loop if Brown doesn't play. So that's the idea there. And I'll probably just take Brucey as that backup option in case there's a late out or something. He plays the last game, so not really using him as a loop there, just more as a backup. And as always, Livingston hopefully will wear the captain's armband for me this week, and Bontempelli will do enough just to secure a nice VC score. I'm going 135 plus for a spot. That would be very, very nice, my friend. So, look, I've rambled on and on and on in this video already, guys. So I will actually leave it there. Again, shout out to Dan Mashman, Frio Tragic, for the lovely gift, mate. Much appreciated there. We will be obviously recording the Swordplay potty tomorrow night. So have some hot topics as always. Big agenda this week. Go through mailbag questions. So there will be an X post maybe around 7:30, 8 o'clock. So look out for that if you want to ask any questions during the pod. And again, we'll have the the stock market video as well. Request time again. So if you want to request a player, don't leave a comment in this video. I'll make a separate video that I'll just go to. It's a lot easier than having to go from video to video for different requests. So I will make a separate video. It'll only go for a minute, basically just saying, put your player request down below, and we'll do it that way for the week. I had, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 requests last week. So always happy to do that. And I think that's probably the best way moving forward. I'm here to look after you guys, and I'll simply do the players that you want me to cover. So happy to do that as well. And apart from that, it's time where some of us may not be trading. Some of us, like potentially my man Spilsy, may be running out of trades. But if you do, we've got big decisions. Do we just hold them in the bank for a rainy day, maybe surprise a couple of our finals opponents if we're league players, or do we just go hammer and tong now, try to get as many points on field and just pray to the Supercoach gods that there's no more carnage for the next couple of months? Big decisions, but again, we'll talk about this on the potty tomorrow night. So that's it from me for now, guys. All the best, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.